Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at Jesse Kotton's World Champion tier list. That's right. If you did not check out the World Championship series, I would highly recommend it for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It was quite fun. We had a repeat of the previous finals with Snipe Hunter taking on Team 7, and Team 7 ended up taking it this time. And Jesse Kotton was one of the players who ended up winning, and this was their list. I think this was the only thing that they played the entire tournament. I don't think they played their second deck, even though they had the opportunity to play the second deck. And yeah, it's beautiful. I could talk about this list all day, all the time. It's so smart in so many ways. And we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty and talk about some of the key things. First and foremost, this is the only list, this and maybe one other list, are like the only lists I think genuinely are good for the Master Duel ranked ladder from the World Championship series. So with that in mind, don't try and like play most of those other lists. Most of them are just unoptimal because of the shared cards and stuff like that. This one I even think is also unoptimal due to the shared cards as well. Things like only one triple tack and the like, right? So, again, keep that in mind. Take all of that with a grain of salt. Okay? Now, first and foremost, 60 cards is very interesting, right? You would think, oh, that's probably inconsistent. Well, here's where things get interesting. Basically, every single one of these cards is, in some capacity, a way to start a combo, right? And there's a myriad of ways to allow them to start doing said combo, right? Obviously, you have the standard cards like Rhino Heart, Imseti, Left Arm, Grass, the Walls, and, King Sark and the like, right? All of these make sense. They're in their standard, right? But even things like Droplet, being able to pitch Trivi Karma going second is full combo, right? You also have the ability to pitch with Imseti for the Trivi Karma and the like, right? Then on top of that, of course, we have things like Simare and Shirin also being able to start combos as well. Things like Foolish Burial Goods and Foolish Burial are also very strong. We have Card Destruction as well, which is another way to start a combo. You can even get a fairly decent board just by drawing even one Jet Synchron or Dotscaper as well, which allows you to, at the very minimum, make SP Little Knight, which is pretty solid. And if you have like a normal summon and then a Destrudo, you can also potentially do even more off of that and, at least do something, right? Which again is pretty decent. So all in all, it works very well and does have a lot more combo than you would originally anticipate in something like a 60 card list. On top of that, it just has the ability to play through quite a bit of interaction, mostly due to the fact that Grass is an insanely good card, and being able to mill a myriad of cards that all do something and kind of force interaction from your opponent means you can really heavily play through established boards, which is why we're not seeing a lot of hand traps. In fact, there's not even a whole lot of board breakers in here. The biggest board breakers being Droplet and Dark Ruler, but outside of that, it's not all that common to see a board breaker. There's not that much in terms of actually playing through a board besides just Engine, and I think that's one of the other reasons why this deck does so very well and why it is still consistent. You're not really bogging your deck down with a whole bunch of non-engine you don't actually need, right? It's very similar to the way that Branded has been playing, except with a just better deck. Not gonna lie, Tier is just better, especially with Kick Hollows. So there you go. So all in all, this deck is very, very smart. Dotscaper is incredibly beautiful for two reasons. One, you can banish it off of Snow in order to special summon it to get it to be an extra body for your Link plays or what have you. You can also just normal summon it and then link it off and get another body onto your field off of just that singular card. If you mill it, it special summons itself. And it's a Cyburst, which is very important for Lingaribo, which negates a trap. And there's two of these in here. Why? Because Iblee can be summoned to your field twice with the Yubel lock. So if they summon one, cool. They dealt with you dealt with the first Iblee, great, fantastic. They summon it to your board again, and you just another guy. Smile. It's very funny and very silly. We also have Jet Synchron in here for similar reasons, except for not quite the exact same, but it kind of does a similar thing where it's able to like pitch something like a Trivia Karma if you draw it, and it does allow you to kind of keep going from there, which is pretty nice. Then, of course, we have things like Called By, which are also just strong in general. Right. Moving on, of course, Maxi, the Roach, we also are playing the Emerald, Tortoise, and Salvation, right? Which is pretty simple, but there's a lot of ways to get powerful field spells, so makes sense to play this. Of course, we're maxing out on the tier names, so pretty standard there. We also have the 2 Snow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Snow's insane, just in general. And yeah, it works really, really well. Just infinite material, basically. And most notably, it's a 4, which means you get to go into Abyss Dweller, which is really, really smart for the World Championship, expecting to see like Branded and Tier and Yubel and Fire King. This just entirely shuts it down. It's disgusting. So there's that. And then, of course, we have Redoer as well, which is also very solid. We just have the 1 Simare. This is genuinely the 60th card. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This one is definitely the 60th card, which is just kind of in here for specific lines and stuff like that. Then, of course, we have Mudora and Keldo, which are extremely good in this list, being able to put back a whole bunch of cards that maybe you didn't want to mill or that you need to search, right? Say you milled Salvation and the Tortoise, you can shuffle back the Tortoise and then get your search with the Salvation. I did that today. Very, very useful. We also have Destrudo, obviously, and then, of course, the Imseti and 1 Dua and 1 Happy, and that's it for the Horus monsters. And then, of course, maxing out on the Temple and the King Sark so that we are able to actually see Imseti in particular. Then we have a myriad of insanely powerful spells. Card Destruction to just reset our hands, as well as, more importantly, to deck out if your opponent goes for the Maxi, and you can just win with the Maxi challenge, which is kind of funny. We also have Foolish Burial and Foolish Burial Goods, which I mentioned previously. Left Arm Offering to grab up That Grass Looks Greener. We also have Triple Tactics Thrust to do the exact same, and it does come up. It's kind of crazy. We have a Dark Ruler no more. We have a Triple Tack as well for the Triple Tactics Thrust. And then we're also playing 2 Grief, which is honestly very, very useful. Honestly, I kind of think maybe playing 3 would be worth it in this list. I say that with some hesitation because it can kind of be a brick, but it is very, very strong. And yeah, just being able to kind of like do your combo after kind of drawing maybe poorly or something like that, or maybe getting stopped previously, just being able to go, cool, I'm going to activate Grief and special summon a guy and still get my fusion summon. It's pretty nice. Yeah, obviously Triple Scream, the Triple Droplet, as I mentioned previously, very, very useful. It's really solid into many boards. Things like Yubel just get absolutely cooked from it. And on top of that, being able to send Iblee as well, that the Yubel just gives you, is very funny. You'll see that several times here. And then, of course, the other search cards, right, with Trivia Karma and the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. And Meta Noise and Soliek are our only 2 traps that we actually set with the tier monsters. And the main reason for this is, or the main reason for no Crime, is due to the fact that Crime is a bit slow and not very good going second, right? Like milling it is not really going to do a whole lot. So there's that. I understand it. It is a bit of a gamble, but for the most part, I don't think that Crime would have been all that necessary. Because let's be honest, if you're doing your full combo, you're probably winning anyway, right? You're making like Apo and Baron and stuff like that. So, not too big of a deal. As for the rest, oh, also, notably, no Kashtira. Like, more specifically, no Fenris, right? Which is kind of abnormal. Normally, you would expect to see Fenris in here, but no Fenris. And I believe that is, again, due to the fact that Fenris is being played in a different list. So, I believe it's in the Vanquish Soul list for Ryan Yu. So, again, that's kind of why it's not here, which I definitely think would have been in here had Ryan Yu not been playing it. What would I have taken out? I have no idea, but I feel like that definitely would be a solid improvement. As for the extra deck is kind of interesting. First of all, only the 3 cash monsters, or sorry, not cash, only the 3 tier monsters are in here for fusion monsters. Everything else is either of the other summoning mechanics. I just realized it's literally every other summoning mechanic. We have 1 synchro, that being Baron. There were many times where I felt like I wanted a second synchro, but honestly, it never really mattered too much, because most of the time you could just make a Link monster that was better. Then, of course, we have Abyss Dweller and Redoer for our rank 4s, for obvious reasons, as I mentioned previously with the Abyss Dweller, and Redoer just to be able to go into a Sheeran and actually get the Sheeran shuffle, or the Sheeran fusion. We also have Zombie Vamp as our only rank 8 for the Horus stuff. As for our Link monsters, we have 1 Anima, hilarious. We also have 2 Lingaribo, as I mentioned previously. We have 1 Dark, very solid. We also have an SP Little Knight, which, of course, and we have a Curious, which is kind of crazy and allows you to do some really, really insane stuff. We all know the effect to, if this card is Link summoned, send a card to the graveyard, and then if the card is sent to the graveyard, mill the top 3 cards. We all know those effects. There's a second effect. Technically, it's a first effect, which says if this face-up card is destroyed by battle or card effect, or it leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while in its owner's control, you can target a card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Now, if you didn't watch the World Championship Series, or more specifically, if you didn't watch Jesse Kotton's games, one game, he gets Max Seed, he does the Max Seed challenge, he makes Curious, sends or crashes into something. I believe it was like a Promethean princess or something along those lines. Crashes into it, sends it to the graveyard, adds back the card destruction that he sent off of Curious. Card destruction wins the game. Beautiful, incredible. That's the reason why card destruction is in here. You can't tell me otherwise. There's no other reason. It's obviously for that play exactly. Curious is crazy. I didn't even know it had this secondary effect. So, wild. We learn something new every day. And then, of course, we have Apollosa and Zeraboros. Zeraboros is funny. It's just a way to OTK with Snow very easily. Also, you can potentially banish the entire field with it. But for the most part, it's just to, like, OTK. You just, like, OTK really easily. And that's basically it. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going second, and honestly, this hand is pretty decent. Droplet going second is pretty good, especially with Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. And my opponent is playing Yubel. So I have a feeling you, hopefully, know where this is going, right? My opponent is going to do the full Yubel combo. I have no hand traps. There's nothing I can do here to interact with them. You got it, dude. Pop off, king. Okay? Now, one thing I will say about this deck is that it is rather interesting because of the fact that you are playing no hand traps, right? Which means that instead of like trying to slow down your opponent, you just try to push through their established board. And you may look at this hand and be like, oh, this hand doesn't really do a whole lot, right? Like, you know, it's got like 2 plays technically, right? You look at this hand, had I drawn it going first, this would have been a pretty mediocre hand. But luckily, we're going second and it's fine and it's not that big of a deal. My opponent's going to end on, honestly, a pretty decent Yubel end board. Not insane, but pretty decent, all things considered. We're going to draw for turn the second Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which is hilarious. We're going to go for the King's Arc here. My opponent is going to go for the Escape of the Unchained, to which I will promptly chain the Droplet, sending the field spell that I wanted them to interact with, as well as the Dua and the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, obviously, and we're just going to negate the field, preventing them from even being able to interact with it. Now, the reason I do this is because if they pop a card, they get to go for the Yama here, they get to go Yama, special summon back Spirit of Yubel, grab a thing, and like, I don't want to deal with that until I can establish like some sort of interaction here. So there you go. I'm just like, let's not do that right now. But we do go Salvation here, and we grab the Emerald Tortoise, and then of course we go for the Pearl of Rhino. My opponent apparently has no hand traps. Tragic for them. We're gonna send it the Havness here off of the Rhino, and then we're gonna fuse it with the Tortoise in order to go into our Kit Colors. Now I obviously could have, instead of sending like the Dua, I could have sent, you know, the second Rainbow Bridge, but for the most part it's fine. I'm going to pop the back row here and then go for the Kit. Kit grabs Scream, and then they're going to go for the Yama. They thought for a really long time about that Yama, which I don't know why. There was one target, and it was a pretty good target, that being Spirit of Yubel. They also are going to pop the Unchained Soul of Rage in order to grab back the Sharvara. Very smart as well. Well done from them. Anyway, we go for the Scream here, and then we go and mill. I knew they didn't have an Ash Blossom, because if they did have an Ash Blossom, they absolutely would have used it earlier. So I was like, cool, don't need to play around that. So we go for the Foolish Burial to send the Tier Cash here. Now we can mill... some pretty bad cards, but it's fine. We're going to mill 8, feel great. Except it's mill 11, feel like we're in heaven. Let's go, because Scream was also there. So we hit a whole bunch of things. Most notably, we hit Scream and the Sheeran, and we're going to go for the Kaleido Heart because we also milled a Rhino Heart. And Rhino Heart is really, really good here. We're going to shuffle away, or attempt to shuffle away, and they're going to go for the Sharvara. I'm just going to go to the combat here. There's no reason not to. We're going to deal a whole bunch of damage. We're going to walk over the field, and at this point, it is pretty difficult for my opponent, especially with me going into the SP Little Knight here, because now we can just tag out, which is very nice. We have the SnowiKs for a potential Phantom, right? They've already used 2 of their Phantoms, so I'm not too worried about that, and we also have the ability to send the Kaleido and use the Kaleido on follow-up. Also, Scream's here. Keep that in mind. Scream is going to mill us 3 cards. Now, what could those 3 cards potentially be? Let's find out. My opponent decides to go for the opening of the Spirit Gates, to the which I will go, no, we're going to shuffle back some cards, because I don't want that to happen. So we shuffle back one of our own cards, which is the Tier Cash, and then we also shuffle back the Spirit of Yubel and the Nightmare Pain. You might be wondering, why do I shuffle back the Tier Cash? And to that I say, I don't know. I was like, oh, we're going to activate the field spell, and then I don't. So I don't know why I did that. But anyway, we mill 3, and that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty dang good one. They're going to go for the Samsara D Lotus, to which I will promptly go for the for the Snow, and I will put that card face down. Now, obviously, they're going to go for the Yama here. Okay, that's totally fine. I don't know what they're realistically going to even get here, so sure. I mean, obviously, it's Sharvara, right? And I could have negated this, and then they wouldn't have had Sharvara, but honestly, I don't care. Sharvara is not an issue for me. But yeah, they're going to go for the Sharvara, pop the Samsara D Lotus, and then go for the opening to grab back that Samsara D Lotus, and then they are going to go for Phantom. And at this point, I realize, cool, as soon as Phantom hits the field, I know the game is over at this point, right? I know one of the cards in hand is Nightmare Pain. The other card in hand probably isn't anything useful, right? So I'm going to simply negate the Phantom of Yubel. That's the third one. That's their last one. We're going to then special summon a guy while also... we're going to special summon back the Kaleido while also sending a card because of Kaleido, right? Which now allows me to shuffle away the Samsara D Lotus and then summon out our own Rukalos in defense, of course. We're not going to die immediately to the Yubel, right? But then on top of that, Perlorino actually gets to trigger here. Yay! And we just pop the Phantom of Yubel because I don't want to take any damage, and there's a potential that they have, like, another guy in hand that could potentially kill me with the Nightmare Pain, so I'm just going to deal with that. And, yeah, they see the writing on the wall and just concede. Good game. Alright, and here we are, once again, going second, and this one is specifically to showcase what happens with, drumroll please, the Iblee lock. So this one is specifically an Iblee lock. Again, you did draw the droplet, but again, you don't need to, right? And you'll see throughout this duel that it's not technically necessary to specifically draw the droplet. It is nice, obviously, but yeah, you'll see what I mean in a second. So my opponent is going to do their full combo. If you haven't seen this combo already, where have you been? Just saying. Anyway, out comes Spirit of Yubel. We're going to go for the Sharvara, pop the Spirit of Yubel, go for the Spirit of Yubel to summon out the Yubel, then link in these two into the Unchained Soul of Rage, then activate the Sharvara, targeting, setting the Escape. Then we're going to go for the bring back of the Dark Beckoning Beast, shuffle back 2, and then we go into Phantom of Yubel 2, Electric Boogaloo. Out comes Gigantic Sprite. Gigantic Sprite summon the Nightmare Corruptor Iblee, link off into Elf. Elf effect, Iblee effect, give me the guy. Elf effect, grab back a guy. I don't know why we decided to grab that one, but it's fine. And go into IP Masquerena. At this point, they set another card and pass the turn. Now this looks intimidating, right? What's happening? There's an Iblee on my side of the field. Scary. My opponent has 2 set cards, one of which we do know, one of which we don't know. They have the IP Masquerena, they have the Monster Negate, they have the Unchained Soul of Rage. It's looking spoopy. What do we do here? Well, first and foremost, I want to see if they're going to immediately use that Unchained card. They don't. Cool. I'm just going to link off here for the Iblee here. Or for the Lingaribo here. And of course, my opponent immediately goes, no, you have to have this. Put it back on your field. Right? And they link off for Apo, which is cute. It's adorable. Just go SP. Just go SP. Anyway, they give me back the guy, and I'm like, that's great, cool. This also now allows me to grab grass. Because of triple tack. Smile. Right? Now again, I don't need to activate Droplet here. Right? I have no need to activate Droplet to prevent my opponent from doing a thing. Right? Because I could just immediately link into the second Lingaribo. So, there's that. But of course, that's not what ends up happening. My opponent goes for the escape, I go for the negate here, they go for the Apo, and I'm like, oh, how kind of you. Now we get to send away the field and negate everything, and they're also negated, which is kind of cute, but it's not that big of a deal. Basically, this is just to get us into grass. And at this point, the game is over. I mill so many cards, which is kind of funny because I don't actually hit at that many good cards. They also do have Called By, because of course they do. But yeah, I don't hit a Shuffler, nor do I hit Snow, which is kind of funny. And tragic. Anyway, we do hit the Dotscaper, which is nice, but one of our fusions does get stopped. We're gonna go for the Kit Kalos. Kit Kalos is going to, the SnowiKs is going to grab the Tier Cash. Then we are going to send Rhinoheart with the Kit, which then sends the Tier Cash, which then also mills an additional 2 cards. Now we go for the Mill 8 Feel Great, and we're gonna Mill 8 and hopefully feel great. We hit a Shuffler and we hit Snow. That's exactly what we wanted, and now this game is pretty much ours. Now, this may seem like a weird play. What are we doing? Why are we clicking buttons like this? First and foremost, why have we not used the Rhinoheart? Because there's no reason to. We've already used Happiness, we've already used Sheeran, and one of those went through. The other one didn't. The other one got Called By, so there's that. But we do have 2 Rhinohearts to make a Abyss Dweller. Great, fantastic. And we can now make Baron. So that's kind of the idea here. So we're going to go for the Abyss Dweller, we're going to detach a card, and then go for the Baron. Out comes Baron. We're going to activate its effect. We're going to pop the Nightmare Pain. This would have triggered the Yama, which is why I didn't, or why I did the Abyss Dweller first. So there's that. We're going to shuffle back a whole bunch of cards because we have the Salvation, and one of those cards being, of course, the Emerald Tortoise, which we, of course, milled. And we also shuffled back 2 of our field spells. We're going to go for the other field spell, the not the Pearl Rhino, but this one. And then we are going to bring back the Happy, and then go for Anima, and just yoink up this Apo. At this point, I was very low on time, but luckily they were already at 4,000 life points because they're stupid and decided to activate. They're not stupid, but they decided to activate the Puri Ray map, and now they get owned for it. So, nice Iblee block. Good game. All right, and here we are going first with a fairly decent hand, especially with this triple attack in hand as well. So let's start off here with Scream, activate Grief. Grief, send Rhinoheart. Rhinoheart is then going to special summon itself, pitching the Sheeran, and then 1 and 2 and 3 in order. And of course we hit the Trivia Karma. We're just better. We're just better. Out comes Kit. Send the, instead of sending Happiness here, right? Because Happiness wouldn't really have like a good target to go into. We wouldn't be able to use the Kit secondary effect. We just send the Tier Cash so that Kit can potentially send or search something else. So there's that. Of course, they have the Imperm for the Kit, which is kind of sad, but we're just going to grab the Pearl Rhino here, and, well, that Mudora is pretty good. We're going to grab Sheeran here. We're going to activate the Mudora, shuffling back our Tier Cash in order to pop our Kit Kalos. Hilarious. So Kit Kalos now gets to mill 5, and we hit the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which is kind of cute. We also have the Imseti. So there's that. Grab the Emerald's Tortoise, grab the Walls of the Imperial Tomb. Now this was a misclick. I wasn't supposed to actually activate that there. Oops. My bad. I was supposed to just activate the King Sark, which I thought I did, and that was a misclick, but it's fine, because if we activate the King Sark, it basically does the same thing while still keeping the Pearl Rhino, which is just a better field spell. Anyway, we put back the King Sark, because there's no way that they haven't ashed us at this point, so there's that. We go for the King Sark, we draw into Droplet, which is kind of funny, but there's that. And then we go for the Dua, we special summon that one, and then, of course, we go for the Zombie Vampire. We're going to activate the effect of the Zombie Vampire, and mill. Not great. So we just steal their Ash, but now we know they're on meme. Momento. I just grabbed SnowiKs here. We're going to go for the Happy as well, and then we're going to link off into an SP Little Knight. I believe I banished the Momento Trap because it's funny. And then we normal summon the Sheeran and pass. Again, not too great. It does not look very good. However, it is Scream, SnowiKs, and SP Little Knight into a 4-card, well, 5-card hand, and we know it's Momento, so I'm not too worried. My opponent is going to go for the Pot of Prosperity. I'm like, sure. And this is one of the weirdest takes that they go for. They go and reveal a whole bunch of cards, and then they take Maxi. Okay. Yeah, sure. Anyway, yeah, of course we hit it. Yeah, of course we hit it. We're just better. So, of course, Sheeran is going to activate, and we only have the one target that we can go into here with the Rukalos, but it's still pretty good. And, yeah, my opponent is going to go for the Tatsu, and I'm just going to tag out with SP Little Knight, and now they have to pop this guy, which doesn't do nearly as much, but it does get the Gaddock, so Gaddock is going to hit the field, and again, we're just going to allow this. I'm not really too worried about basically anything. They're going to pop their Gaddock, and then search out the Bone Party, and then Bone Party is going to activate, and they're going to grab to their hand this guy. Where is he? Hello? There he is. They're going to grab the Horned Dragon, which is cute. That's for sure. And they're going to go to combat. Why is my Sheeran not dead? Well, Rukalos has this little effect that says other aqua monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Smile. Everyone forgets about this effect. Even I forget about this effect. I'm sure Jesse has forgotten about this effect. This effect, like, never comes up. In, like, tier format, it kind of came up occasionally. But, yeah, it comes up so very rarely. And it's hilarious. Also, this is just... I don't know why our choice was to do this. Don't know what the point was here, right? Why did we grab Bone Party instead of the Fusion? Oh, we can't grab the Fusion spell here, can we? No, you absolutely can. I don't know why we didn't just grab the Fusion spell here and then go for the Fusion, but cool. Cool on you. Yep, way to go. This out one passed. Cool. This game's over, you know. Grab Meta Noise, Comedy. They go for the Maxi, and like, that's totally okay. We're going to special summon back the Horus, and then we're going to activate the Scream. We're going to mill Havness, which is hilarious. We're going to go for the Havness here. And we're going to go for the Kick Hollows. And I'm like, yay, Kick Hollows. We're going to activate its effect. They're going to go for the Veiler. And I'm like, no, SP Little Knight. We're going to tag out. This also just does more damage. By being able to tag out here, we just are able to now do more damage because their guy is gone. So, cool. Thanks. Thanks for activating the thing. We just send away the guy, and this is lethal. It's not much over lethal, but it is lethal. So, there's that. Main. Good game. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, holy crap, this deck is so expensive. I would recommend this deck, because it's really, really fun, but I also can't. Realistically, it is hyper expensive. There is not, like, a reasonable amount of cards, like low rarity cards in here. Basically everything is SR or higher, and most of it is ultra rare, so there's that. However, with that being said, this deck is incredibly fun. It is wildly powerful. It has some really good consistency, which is kind of surprising. And yeah, it's just really good, just in general. Now, with that being said, I would not suggest playing this if you're not already accustomed to tier and how to play tier limit in general. And if you are not, no, that's it. Just don't play it if you're not already accustomed to tier. It's very fun. It's very enjoyable. There's a lot of lines that you can go for that provide insane value. The Horus cards are such powerhouses in a grind game, or more specifically in a low, not low economy, in a simplified game state. Just being able to have like a gold or a King Sark in order to just bring back 3 guys is wild. Even if you don't necessarily do anything with them, it's still just crazy. So there's that. But yeah, all in all, this deck is beautiful. It's elegant, and it works so very well, even though it is a 60 card nonsense pile. Or that's what it seems like, right? But there you go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, I like this very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.